In the bustling city of Lagos, where life moved fast and opportunities seemed endless, there lived a young man named Kelechi. Kelechi was ambitious but struggling. He worked as an apprentice tailor in a small shop and dreamed of owning a fashion empire someday. However, his reality was far from that dream. Every morning, he woke up in his cramped one-room apartment, barely scraping by, yet he clung to his vision of success. One fateful day, while on his way to deliver a finished garment to a client, Kelechi bumped into a well-dressed elderly man named Babatunji. The man smiled warmly and apologized profusely for the accidental collision. Before Kelechi could even react, Babatunji handed him a small package wrapped in colorful fabric. "This is for you, my son," the man said, his voice filled with unusual kindness. "But I can't accept this," Kelechi protested. "Take it," the old man insisted, his eyes gleaming strangely. "It's a token of goodwill, a blessing for your future." Kelechi hesitated but finally accepted the package. After all, it wasn't every day someone offered him a gift out of the blue. When Kelechi got home, he unwrapped the gift to find a shiny golden wristwatch. It glistened like it was made for royalty. Kelechi had never owned anything so luxurious. He felt a sense of pride and excitement as he fastened the watch to his wrist. But from that moment on, strange things began happening. The next day at the shop, Kelechi made mistakes he had never made before. Cutting fabric too short, sewing uneven stitches. His boss yelled at him for his carelessness, and customers began complaining. Over the next week, things spiraled further downhill. Kelechi's landlord suddenly increased his rent. His longtime girlfriend, Amaka, broke up with him, claiming she couldn't deal with his bad energy anymore. Everywhere Kelechi turned, misfortune seemed to follow. One night, Kelechi had a vivid dream. He found himself in a dark forest, surrounded by shadows that whispered his name. In the middle of the forest stood Babatunji, the man who had given him the wristwatch. "What do you want from me?" Kelechi shouted in the dream. Babatunji laughed, a deep, sinister laugh. "I don't want anything from you, Kelechi. You've already given me what I need." "What are you talking about?" "Your destiny," Babatunji said, his voice echoing ominously. "That watch you wear is a key that unlocked your essence and handed it to me. You'll never prosper while I thrive." Kelechi woke up in a cold sweat, the sound of Babatunji's laughter ringing in his ears. The next morning, Kelechi rushed to see Mama Chinenye, the neighborhood herbalist known for her wisdom in spiritual matters. He recounted everything: his encounter with Babatunji, the gift, and the subsequent streak of bad luck. Mama Chinenye listened intently, her face growing darker with each word. When Kelechi finished, she leaned forward and whispered, "My son, you have been cursed. That man didn't give you a gift. He gave you a trap." Kelechi's heart sank. "What do I do, Mama? How can I break it?" Mama Chinenye handed him a small calabash filled with herbs and oil. "Take this to a crossroads at midnight and burn it while reciting these words." She wrote down a chant on a piece of paper. "And whatever you do, destroy that wristwatch. Do not wear it another day." At exactly midnight, Kelechi stood at a desolate crossroads. The air was thick with tension, and every rustle of leaves made him jump. He lit a small fire and poured the contents of the calabash into the flames, chanting the words Mama Chinenye had given him. The fire flared unnaturally high, and a chilling wind blew through the crossroads. Kelechi could feel something lifting off his shoulders, a weight he hadn't realized he was carrying. But just as he thought it was over, he heard a voice behind him. "You can't break what you don't understand," the voice said. Kelechi turned, and there stood Babatunji, his face twisted into an eerie grin. "What do you want from me?" Kelechi yelled, clutching the now cursed wristwatch in his hand. Babatunji stepped closer, his presence radiating a dark energy. "I told you, Kelechi. You've already given me what I need. You can burn all the herbs you want, but as long as that watch exists, I will remain in control." Kelechi remembered Mama Chinenye's words. Without thinking, he threw the wristwatch into the fire. As it melted, Babatunji let out an inhuman scream, vanishing into the night like smoke. The next day, Kelechi felt lighter. His luck began to change. Customers returned to the shop, his boss praised his work, and even Amaka called, apologizing for her harsh words. But deep down, Kelechi couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't entirely free. After all, juju doesn't just disappear. It lingers, waiting for the right moment to strike again. Though Kelechi's life seemed to be returning to normal, a part of him couldn't let go of what had happened. He couldn't shake the feeling that Babatunji's scream, his vanishing act, and the eerie glow of the fire were more than just a one-time event. One evening, as Kelechi closed up the shop, he noticed something strange. A faint symbol was etched into the pavement outside the store, a shape that resembled the design on the cursed wristwatch. He stared at it, feeling a chill run down his spine. "What is this?" he murmured to himself. He quickly dismissed it as his imagination and hurried home. But as he walked through the busy Lagos streets, he began to feel as though he was being followed. Turning around, he saw no one, only the flicker of streetlights casting long, distorted shadows. That night, Kelechi had another dream, even more vivid than the first. This time, he found himself standing in a dark room, surrounded by mirrors. Each reflection showed a different version of himself. One where he was rich, one where he was poor, and one where he was lifeless. In the largest mirror, Babatunji appeared. His eyes glowed like embers, and his voice was calm but chilling. "You think it's over, don't you?" Babatunji said, smiling cruelly. "Burning the watch was only the beginning. Do you really think I'd let go of something so valuable?" Kelechi screamed, shattering the mirrors. But instead of waking up, he found himself in the dark forest again, with shadows whispering his name. The next morning, Kelechi ran straight to Mama Chinenye. As soon as she saw him, her face fell. "I warned you, Kelechi. Juju is never so easily broken. The watch was only a vessel. The real curse lies within the pact Babatunji made with the spirits." Kelechi's knees grew weak. "So what do I do now, Mama? I can't live like this." Mama Chinenye handed him a bundle of leaves and a small black pot. "There's only one way to end this for good. You must trace Babatunji back to the source of his power. But be warned, it will not be easy, and the price may be steep." Armed with the items Mama Chinenye gave him, Kelechi set out on a journey to a remote village said to be the home of a powerful diviner who could unravel Babatunji's curse. The journey was treacherous, taking him through dense forests, rickety bridges, and eerie, deserted paths. At night, Kelechi would hear whispers in the wind, calling his name. Sometimes he thought he saw figures moving in the shadows, their glowing eyes watching him. He clutched the black pot tightly, chanting the protective words Mama Chinenye had taught him. After days of travel, he finally arrived at the village, a place that seemed untouched by time. The diviner, a man named Oba Ikena, lived in a small hut at the edge of the village. Oba Ikena listened to Kelechi's story, his face grim. "You are dealing with a deep, ancient magic," he said. "Babatunji is no ordinary man. He is a vessel for the spirits of greed and misfortune. To break this curse, you must confront him in his true form." "How do I do that?" Kelechi asked, his voice trembling. The diviner handed him a small, intricately carved staff. "This staff will protect you, but it will also reveal truths you may not be ready to face. The final confrontation will take place where it all began, at the crossroads." Kelechi returned to the very spot where he had burned the watch. It was midnight again, and the air was thick with tension. Holding the staff tightly, he stood in the center of the crossroads and called out Babatunji's name. At first, there was silence. Then the ground began to tremble, and a dark figure emerged from the shadows. It was Babatunji, but his form was monstrous. His eyes glowed red, his fingers were clawed, and his laughter echoed like thunder. "You dare challenge me again?" Babatunji roared. "I'm here to take back what's mine," Kelechi said, his voice steady despite the fear gripping his heart. Babatunji lunged at Kelechi, but the staff glowed brightly, creating a protective barrier around him. The two clashed, with Babatunji's dark energy clashing against the staff's light. The air was filled with the sound of their struggle, and the ground beneath them cracked and splintered. Just when it seemed Kelechi was gaining the upper hand, Babatunji whispered something in an ancient language. The shadows around the crossroads came alive, swirling and attacking Kelechi. Kelechi felt himself weakening, but he remembered Mama Chinenye's words. Your will is your strongest weapon. With all his strength, he raised the staff and shouted, I take back my destiny. The staff emitted a blinding light, banishing the shadows and striking Babatunji. The figure let out a final, ear-piercing scream before disintegrating into the night. As the light faded, Kelechi fell to his knees, exhausted. The air was calm, and for the first time in weeks he felt at peace. But as he stood to leave, he noticed something. A faint golden glow in the distance. Was it truly over, or was this just the beginning of another battle? Kelechi returned to his village feeling lighter, as though a great weight had been lifted from his shoulders. For the first time in weeks, he slept peacefully without dreams of mirrors, shadows, or Babatunji. When he visited Mama Chinenye the next day, she looked at him with cautious optimism. You've severed the ties Babatunji had over you, she said, but curses like his don't simply vanish, they find new vessels. You must remain vigilant. Kelechi nodded, but deep down he hoped this was truly the end. He resolved to move on with his life and focus on rebuilding the small business he had neglected during the ordeal. Weeks passed and life returned to normal, or so it seemed. One rainy evening, as Kelechi closed up shop, a man entered, drenched from head to toe. He carried a strange, old-fashioned umbrella and wore an odd smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. You're Kelechi, aren't you? The man asked, his voice smooth and deliberate. Kelechi hesitated, his hand instinctively gripping the counter. Who's asking? The man placed a small box on the counter. This is a token of gratitude for helping us rid the world of Babatunji's chaos. You've done a great service. Kelechi eyed the box warily. It was wrapped in golden paper and shimmered faintly under the dim light. Who are you? The man smiled wider. Let's just say I represent interests far beyond your understanding. Open it when you're ready. But remember, every gift carries a responsibility. After the man left, Kelechi stared at the box for hours. His instincts screamed at him not to open it, but his curiosity grew stronger with each passing moment. Finally, he untied the ribbon and carefully lifted the lid. Inside was a single golden coin, engraved with a symbol he recognized from the cursed wristwatch. His heart sank. Was this a trap? A test? As he held the coin, a voice echoed in his mind. Choose wisely, Kelechi. This coin can grant you immeasurable wealth and power, or it can bring ruin to all you love. The choice is yours. Kelechi sat in silence, staring at the coin. Memories of Babatunji, the crossroads, and the curse flooded his mind. He thought about all he had endured and the people he could help if he used the coin for good. But he also knew the dangers of such power and the sacrifices it might demand. He clenched the coin tightly and made his decision. Without hesitation, he ran to the riverbank near his village. Standing on the edge, he whispered, I choose freedom over temptation. With a deep breath, he hurled the coin into the water. It sank quickly, disappearing into the depths. The air grew still, and for a moment it felt as though the world itself was holding its breath. The next day, Kelechi woke up to find the mysterious symbol outside his shop had vanished. The village felt brighter, and even Mama Chinenye greeted him with a rare smile. You made the right choice, she said. Not many would have the strength to let go of such temptation. You are free now, Kelechi. For the first time in his life, Kelechi felt truly at peace. He had faced the darkness and won, not just for himself, but for the generations to come. And so the tale of Kelechi and Babatunji became a cautionary story in the village, a reminder that not all gifts are blessings, and that true freedom comes from the choices we make.